So when you say you play outside, if let's call it, we'll take positive scenario. We'll say if sunny, maybe I have to take, because it may be cloudy too. So if not raining and temperature is more than 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's take this problem statement. So if this is the case, then you want to do something. If this is not the case, then you want to do something different. For example, it is not raining, but temperature is less than 60. So in that case, you will go and play outside, but you may have to wear a jacket, right? How do we deal with this type of situation? First thing is to identify that there are multiple variables. And how do we, if you look carefully, the one condition is not raining and temperature is more than 60 degrees. So your ability to identify the condition is important. Second is this whole AND thing, right? You see that whether condition is two or more conditions are joined by AND or, both are possible, right? So, and we have already learned when we learned about creating conditions. So in this case, if you draw a flow chart, the flow chart is going to look like this. Assuming that you have a variable already called raining, I'm not accepting from user. We're going to check and we say not, or I would put it other way around. Let's say if raining, there is a variable called raining equal to true, right? And flowchart makes these type of things super easy because now you can visualize it. If you start directly jump into the code and start writing, then it becomes a little hard. So if this is true, or if it is false, if it is raining equal to true, then you simply say, print something like don't play or stay home. But if it is this raining equal to false, if it's true, then you are going to check second conditions. And then second condition is based on different variable. Earlier, remember I had shown you that you are saying raining equal to true, or raining, or weather equal to true, weather equal to rainy, weather equal to hot, weather equal to cloudy. If the same variable has multiple values, you want to check on multiple values. That is what we did in if, elif, and all. Here you cannot do that. If you have two different variables, then if, elif, straightway doesn't work. Basically, now you're talking about two different conditions and handling scenarios based on that. So you say if rainy equal to true, if it is false, then the next thing you want to do is temperature greater than or equal to 60. And if it is true or if it is false. So suppose this is false, then you want to say wear jacket. And then you will say, play outside. Or if it is greater than 60, then you will straight away go and play outside. Right? And then this is your end. Make sense?
I have a question.
Yes.
So basically you're saying that the nest condition is a condition inside a condition?
Yes, that's why it is called next conditions. So one condition I'll highlight is in blue here. And then second condition is when this second condition is inside the first condition. And I'll write the code, but I just wanted to show you visually how does it look like in flowchart. When you draw a flowchart like this, it makes it easier. And we will look into the syntax part too. And it is false, then you don't want to do anything. Okay, so this is what we call nested if in terms of definition, in terms of when you have more than one variable and more than one condition accordingly, then you want to create a nested if. Second thing you have to remember is there is no limit of how far you want to go. So suppose I can say, suppose there are 5 variables on which you are making a decision. So what is going to look like is you will have, if Then you may have another if this side too, and then you may have another if too. Yeah. Then you may have another if too. So there is no limit of, suppose this is variable 1, variable 2, this is variable 3, this is variable 4. The problem is, as you can see, more and more branching makes it extremely complex, because you are checking if variable 1 is true on this side and what false is on this side. Now you have to check this variable 2 on this side also, because it is possible that if it is false, but then you want, based on certain condition, you want to do something else. And then again, you have to, so each branch needs to be replicated in every side, and it's going to be get complicated because you may traverse like this, then you have this, then you have this, the more number of conditions you have, lot more testing you have to do to make sure that all conditions are working fine. If all possible combinations of true and false of all these variables are going to work perfectly. So you have to do a lot more testing. The code becomes much more complicated. The trace table is very useful in that condition. You can see what is happening, but still in real life, we advise not to go more than 3 conditions. And if it is that is case, refactor the code. What I mean refactor is simplify your logic, simplify your algorithm. And I'll talk more about it soon. Okay. So for now, let's look into the syntax. So I'm going to write the program on my laptop now. All of you can see the code in action. And this is where I will also explain you the syntax. H5, open folder, that's 4. Okay. So last time we did chapter 18. Now we are going to do chapter 19. What I want. So let's say example 1.5, and we are going to take our same example of raining or not, the simple one, and then we'll start writing some complex. So next 3 chapters, you will have more practice to do. There is, in terms of theory on conditions, this is the last chapter, but when it comes to practice, I will be assigning you a little bit more. That way you really do practice. Okay. And in the next class, we will mostly do question and answer. That way I'll give you more time to do practice on these conditions, because this is the concept wise, this is the last type of conditions you will see. After that, then we'll start the next unit, which is more on the iteration. Okay. So let's see, how do we convert our flow chart into a program? So we are going to say we'll take 2 variables, and this time we will not take user input and all that part, because you guys already know it. So let's say there is a variable called rainy, and we'll say rainy equal to true. And we'll say another variable temp, and we'll say temperature is 60 degrees. Okay. I'll say if rainy equal to true, colon, I build a condition. Now, one thing that I haven't told you yet is, if rather than checking a variable for rainy equal to true, in Python, you can create a shortcut and you simply leave it this like this. If you, by checking this rainy, basically in the short form, you are checking if rainy is true or not. So you can also write, you don't have to, this, if for a Boolean variable, you don't have to do like this. It's a good, I mean, in the beginning, you can do that. But if you find simply a variable like this, basically you can safely assume that you are saying rainy equal to true. That is the condition here. Okay. It's implicit in Python. The Python is all about writing less lines of code. Okay. So if it is rainy, I'll print that, you are not allowed to play outside. Okay. But now in the else, I'm gonna check another condition, because here, if it is not rainy, then I have to do another condition. Remember the nested part, and in the nested part, this whole thing is a code block, right? But within this code block, I'm creating another code block called if temperature is greater than equal to 60, Then you want to print and say nice day to play outside. And else, if it is not, then again now you have to print and you have to say let's wear a jacket, and then we'll say print let's play outside. So as you can see here from the code that we are creating two variables, and there can be more than two variables. Now the key thing to remember is that this whole block used, if you see the indentation here, look at this indentation, right? You shifted everything inside, and then you are creating this whole block inside else. So this red box will execute only if it is not raining. So if this condition is false, if it's saying rain equal to true, then you're not allowed to play. Otherwise, else this whole block is indented. That's the key thing. By doing this, we are saying we are creating a nested block. So either in the if or in the else, you write another whole block of if and else, or just if, then you are still creating, you are creating a nested block. The key thing to remember again, there are two variables, rainy and temp. And I'm checking if rain equal to true, then do something. Otherwise, it is also possible that I can do this if else inside also. I can say, suppose there is a scenario that rain equal to true, and then we have another variable called umbrella equal to true. Suppose we take another variable. Now I can check if umbrella equal to true, then I want to print let's enjoy the rain. Okay, I can put another block because all of this block line number 6 and 7 is inside this if. So what we call it scope. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. Let's enjoy the rain. Can we don't run, be safe, right? I mean, because it's raining, you may fall. Else, suppose you don't have it is raining and you don't have a builder, then you're not allowed to play outside. So now, as you can see, it depends on your scenario, depends number of variables. You can create this nested if. And here, right? Scroll down a little bit. I'm removing these three variables. Now, if you notice, in both the top if and top else, this one has a child block. And then the second one, and change the color, else has its own block. And in fact, I use three different variables. In the second block, I'm not even using second variable because umbrella is not used when it's not raining. Then temperature matters. So now I'm using three different variables to control the logic, whatever I want, the algorithm I want. And you can write a flow chart for this. You will start with the rain, one block, and then on the right side, if it's true, then another condition umbrella, and then you have true and false. On the left side, because it is not raining, then the second thing you will want to do is to check, let's say, so your top block here is rain. If it is raining equal to true, then you have one condition. And then this, right? And then other side, if it's not raining, then you will check for temperature. And then temperature is true, then something this is how it will look like. And it's very easy. When you draw a flow chart and you can visualize your conditions, then it's much easier to convert and write your code, accordingly.